while ago on the channel, you may have seen I did a walk around video with the new BMW XM, a blue one. What makes the XM so important is that it holds the powertrain for the next upcoming BMW M5, which is due to be revealed very soon. But the thing about the XM is that I still don't really understand what it's for in BMW's lineup. You see, it starts at $159,000. This one in particular is at $164,000. I mean, if you want a performance SUV from BMW, there's the X5M. But if you want something electric, then you can get the iX M60. And when I asked a salesman about this months and months ago when I did that walk around video, he said that it was the best of their M brand and their electric brand put together. And yeah, that sort of makes sense until you realize that this is certainly not the fastest, certainly not the most capable, certainly not the best handling M car that BMW makes right now. And it only has an electric range of 30 miles. It is the first bespoke M car since the M1 supercar. But again, when you look at it, the specs of this car aren't all that impressive. Yes, it has 644 horsepower from a plug-in hybrid twin turbo. Just rides in the back of shot. Plug-in hybrid twin turbo V8 that is going to be the next M5's engine powertrain. And that's all fine and great. But again, it weighs just a smidge over 6,000 pounds. That means that it can't even manage a sub 4-second 0 to 60. This does have some strange features and odd proportions dashed about. Take these wheels, for instance. These are massive 23-inch wheels, as you can see, because there's not much sidewall on these tires, and they're still massive. I will admit that I do quite like these wheels in gold. They look pretty cool. But again, furthering the weird theme, the M logo is in gold just like it is everywhere else on the car. And the BMW logo isn't even there. Instead, you have like a shadow of a BMW logo on the center cap and then BMW written straight across it like that. And yes, there is a standard M logo on each brake caliper, which is what you'd expect from a car like this. After all, you paid $160,000. You might as well get that badge everywhere you look. Right here is the charge port door, which I believe I can open. Yep, there you go. So that's how you plug it in every 30 miles when you run out of electric range. But why would you want to use just electric range when you have a twin turbo V8 to play around with? Not sure why you would want that. Up at the front, you have these strange looking pinched headlights, which are actually the running lights and the turn signals. Down below right here are the headlights, almost like they're an afterthought. And then you have the massive kidney grills, which kind of gives this car the aesthetic of like a hippo to me on the front with the big snout that it has, if you know what I mean. Maybe talking nonsense. But of course, the grille is lit up because Mercedes has their lit up 3-pointed stars, so at night you can show off to all the peasants who can't afford one that you have a Mercedes. BMW can't really do that, so they outlined their kidney grills, which was the next best thing. Nah, I'm not really a fan of that, but if any car deserves BMW's lit up kidney grills, it's definitely the XM. These vents off to the side are actually real, and they funnel air to, I think, the brakes. I don't know what else is there, the tires. Definitely distinctive look on the front end. Whether that's a good thing, you can decide for yourself. Personally, I don't like the look of it, but if you do like the look of it, then that's awesome. There's a car for you. I hope that you can afford it. I think around the back is where the XM actually shines. I like the look of the back of this car a lot. I love these super thin LED taillights. This XM logo right here, and how this is kind of just blanked out. There's no BMW logo back here anywhere except for up here on the corners of the rear window, which harkens back to the first bespoke M car, the original M car, the BMW M1. It's nice to have that little throwback right there. Unlike the rest of the car, this spoiler is subtle. And then down below you have these stacked exhaust tips, which look really cool. I think this is the reverse light down here in the middle. The XM, in my opinion, hideous everywhere except for the back, which is actually really good. I own an old E46 with extremely basic styling, so this is something that it's just a little bit too extreme for me and I'm not used to it. I'm sure with years to come and more BMW controversial designs, I will come to actually like the look of this XM. So time will tell whether this ages well or not. All right, so let's have a quick look at practicality underneath the tailgate here. You immediately are greeted with this lovely purse bag thing, overnight bag. That is XM special labeled and even has some lovely quilted leather all over it. Definitely spent some money on this. I believe this is a bag to hold your charging cables. Yep, which are in there. But I mean, you show up to a hotel or a nightclub or something like that, and you've got your XM bag. Everybody knows that you have made it in life. M cars have come a long way from, 6-cylinder M cars used in the Pro Car series and 4-cylinder M3s winning touring car championships, also out on the rally stage putting in some work. Now 50 years later, we have we get an overnight bag. No racing, overnight bag. And one thing that you notice about this trunk area here, which is a little strange, is the fact that there's no lip right here to stop your luggage from rolling out. So again, if you are a bowling ball salesman and you park this a lot for your deliveries on hills, this might not be the best car for you, because then they'll just roll on out, go on down, and destroy an orphanage or something like that. On this side though, yes, you have your little towing hook, which you will definitely need on a high-performance M-powered V8. That's their first effort at an MV8 tied with a hybrid system. You'll definitely be using that towing hook a lot. These rear seats do fold down, but for a $160,000 SUV, you have to walk around to each side and unhook the seat and then fold it forward, which for a $20,000 car is an inconvenience. For a $160,000 SUV, luxury SUV, that is pretty ridiculous. That really shouldn't be enough to put you off from this entire car, but it's worth noting because it doesn't make much sense why they forgot to do that. All right, so let's check rear seat room and practicality. I am a 6'3" tall boy. Now I have tons of legroom, lots of shoulder room, not a lot of headroom. If you are any more than half an inch taller than I am, then your head will be touching back here. I have to say the XM has a really nice interior. Top quality materials everywhere. I mean, even these cup holders are lined on the outside with aluminum. And I love the way the leather on the door panel builds up to here and then it wraps around the back seat and continues all the way to the other side. I think that's a pretty nice touch. I love these diamond patterns on the bottom of the seat and angles and the way the seats look. And they don't have a lot of bolstering, but I don't think anyone's going to be taking this thing on the track. You do have a transmission tunnel in the middle right here, but it's about 1.5 inches tall. So rear passengers in the middle should be completely fine, shouldn't complain too much. There's your BMW accessory hook right there, which we showed in the iX M60. And you got a little storage pocket, which on the outside is lined with the same pattern that the seats are lined with, which is a really nice touch. And I like that. Instead of a panoramic sunroof or something like that, you have this weird triangle pattern in the roof, which again is a 3D texture. I mean, you can hear me running my hand along it. That is actually has points and valleys and things like that. Don't really understand what the point of that is, but it's something different, I guess. I think most people would rather just have a glass panel up here. And you do have some lights that are mounted up in there, and that adds to the whole vibe when you're on your way to the nightclub at night or whatever. I imagine that when these lights are on at night, the shadows and reflections that they get on this triangular panel weird thing up here makes it look a lot cooler than it does just plain old regular during the day. So you'd have to really drive this car at night to experience. Maybe there's actually a good reason why this panel is here and it's like this. It does feel hollow and you can push on it and doesn't feel like it's the highest quality thing right here. So my advice is just don't touch it. Other than that, elsewhere, it's supremely comfortable back here and there's great materials. But it does need that BMW theater screen. I think that would definitely add to the experience back here. All right, so let's check the front seat space of the XM. It doesn't feel as roomy up here, actually, as it does in the back, which is unusual. But I do like the way that this center console moves up and it makes you feel like you're in a bubble on your bottom half, at least. Up here, you can feel how massive this car is. Again, it's a big, brutish 6,000 pound SUV. Here is a shot of the XM next to my 2005 3 Series, and you can really see just how massive this thing is. It is extremely wide, very tall, not super long, but I think it's just in the width where this thing is absolutely gargantuan. I mean, you can't even reach to the other side of the car. So in terms of things up here, again, it's the same as in the back. Lovely materials. I love this speaker cover again. Alcantara headlining. And I love this red interior. I think it looks really cool, especially paired with the white exterior. That is a good move. It is a fantastic color combination, which I really like. And again, this car in white doesn't look too bad. You have the updated iDrive 8, which is basically the same as what I've shown you before in the BMW i7, but it's got a bit of a more M-related touch to it. When you tap on these widgets, they light up with that light blue M color, which is kind of cool. It's a good infotainment system, I think, because it's not trying to be too much like your smartphone. It's setting itself apart as something different, but it's still really easy to use and quick to respond to your touch, minus the 8 million applications that it has on it. The one complaint that everybody has, including me with iDrive 8 though, is the fact that all your climate functions are in a separate climate menu. You don't get the buttons anymore like you would with iDrive 7. And in a car like this with so many different areas and climate options and things like that, this climate menu is definitely quite overbearing. It does make the interior look a little bit more simplistic, takes away from some of the buttons that would be normally just cluttering the interior, not making it look very nice. But I think that they could definitely improve on this climate menu here. Adding to this whole climate thing, there used to be, on this exact same type of steering wheel, there used to be a button for heated seat control, but they've taken that away and put it in the climate menu, which makes no sense. That button didn't clutter this steering wheel too much, but they took that away from you. They decided, "Nine, we will make you use the infotainment climate menu instead. No buttons, 9 to buttons." Overall though, iDrive 8 is nice, and I love this curved display here, which leads into the gauge cluster, which is also cool. You can show the map and a couple other different things in the center. And it's an M gauge cluster, so it has M colors lining the gauges, or the outline of the gauges, the fake gauges, they're digital. And it does look really sweet up there. And as you change modes, it does change as well, which is really cool. Up here, the interior is definitely nice looking, definitely a nice place to be. These cup holders here are heated and cooled, which is great, and you have a wireless charger up front. But if you want to just look at some tacky carbon fiber instead, you can close that. In the center here, you've got your M shifter, which has the M colors in the stitching, which is really cool looking. And you have this new mode called M Hybrid, which you can switch from hybrid, efficient hybrid drive focused on range, to electric, which is pure electric driving mode, or e-control, where battery charge is maintained for electric driving. Those all mean something very important, I am sure. But what is more interesting is your M mode with these toggle switches on the steering wheel. Your car is totally configurable. You can change your engine responsiveness, chassis toughness, brakes. You can even change your brakes, which is pretty hilarious. Got that M logo on the bottom. You have to be reminded everywhere you look in this car that you spent all the money that you did. XM is in the headrests right here. You got your M stitching on your seat belts, M stitching on your gear shifter, M logo on top of the gear shifter, M logo in the steering wheel, M logo right here next to the air vent so that your passenger knows that you're rich. Overall, this is a pretty solid, nice interior, and I like it. All right, it's time to look at the plug-in hybrid V8 that is powering this thing. But first, we need to do something. Yeah, there we go. Now you can probably see in there. Yeah. Blink. It goes blink. You just opened your hood. Your car broke down, maybe. All right, lift up this hood, and you have what looks like the exact same V8 engine as in the last M5, last series of high-performance M vehicles, which is probably what it is. It's just hooked up to a whole hybrid system now. And to really drive home the point that this is not the same engine, but it's more, instead of black plastic lines to show you that it's an 8-cylinder, because that's a thing we do on engine covers. They're now painted red, which means that it's more sporty, more powerful. But again, this is important because this engine and whole drivetrain with the hybrid component, transmission, everything is going into the next M5. It's crucial that this engine fulfills the basic requirements for an M5 engine. Is it unreliable? Is it powerful? Does it sound great? And does it really stir up the emotions? I can't speak for that first one, unfortunately, because these haven't been out for very long, but hopefully the rest we can experience out on the road. So let's do that right now. Unfortunately, it is an M-powered car and is still in its break-in period, so engine power, it says, is reduced, and it's not going to let me rev above 4,000 RPM. We, unfortunately, aren't going to get the full experience here. Let's just try it a little bit here. Yeah. It definitely feels like a monster that is in chains at the moment with its break-in period, which is very annoying, but oh well. The sound is very good. I know it's fake, it's BMW, so they like to pump their fake sound into the cabin. So the sound is good, and that's just because I'm getting fooled by a computer and, you know, whoever's doing their sound nowadays. And I have to say, I do have one complaint about this car in terms of the driving experience, which is the fact that the ride comfort is just not where it should be in a car, in a big luxury SUV. Yes, I know it's an M car, but I mean, in a car like this, it should be good at everything. Should be good at turning, should be good at flooring it, acceleration, but I mean, this is a car that you're just gonna be driving every day. Don't think a lot of people are going to be taking their XMs to the Nürburgring. Don't think a lot of people are going to be taking them to track days. So I don't think it's that important that this car handles super well. You feel that they definitely made some sacrifices in the suspension comfort, because I think I'm feeling a little bit too much feedback through the road here. And in terms of feedback, there is pretty much none in the steering wheel. The steering basically gives you no feedback at all. It couldn't feel any more of an electric steering thing. It is configurable, but right now I have the drivetrain in comfort and it just feels too rough. Again, it's an M car, so it sounds a bit ridiculous when I talk about how it needs to have a more comfortable ride, and I get that, but I mean, you know. Drivetrain, let's put it in Sport Plus, hit it. If only it would rev above 4,000 RPM right now, because it would be fun. And it sounds so good. It's got this really mean, deep growl. It kind of sounds like an old Mercedes AMG to me. It sounds like that old 6.2 liter V8. The car does blend electric driving and gas-powered driving together pretty well. You notice when the car turns the V8 on, but you don't really notice when it turns it off. You only notice that it turned the V8 off when you hear the iconic sounds, the spaceship noises that the iX would make. It's so dumb. That's the only time you actually notice that it turned the V8 off and it's running on electric power. It does sound really nice. It was quite infuriating to get it to engage the V8 for that revving section that I always do, because I kept putting in M mode and it wouldn't do it, it wouldn't start the engine. So it's a little bit finicky, all these systems and things. You have to kind of learn how every time you stray slightly over the speed limit, it beeps at you, and it is very annoying. I'm sure it has, maybe I can turn that off. It just starts going boom, boom, and it's throwing me off. Definitely is a learning curve to learn all these new systems, the M hybrid mode and all this stuff. And in terms of modes and drivetrain and stuff like that, the M xDrive doesn't have a two-wheel drive mode like it does in the M5 and the M3 and the M4 competition. But what it has instead is four-wheel drive sport, and four-wheel drive sand. Now, who is taking this thing onto a sand dune, and can I come watch? Because that sounds like hilarious fun to watch and enjoy. Overall, to drive, this thing isn't bad at all. It just, again, it just feels like an X5M combined with an iXM60. That's basically what this thing is. But when you combine those two cars, you also combine the price. You add the price of the X5 and the price of the iX, and you have this. So, I mean, if you are watching this and you think that it is worth $160,000 to you, then go ahead and go buy one. But if you want more power, XM Label Red is coming out soon with another 100 horsepower or something like that. But this does definitely feel pretty quick. I think for $160,000, it should be more comfortable. It should be faster. I'm just not a huge fan of this car overall. I've never have been an XM fan. If I were looking to buy a high performance BMW SUV with an electric component, I would get an iX xDrive 50, because the xDrive 50 is plenty of power enough for most people. It's still really quick, but that's the iX xDrive 50 is actually quite a good value. This, I don't know, the styling's a bit too ungainly, it's a bit too show-offy for my taste. It's just a reminder to me that this car wasn't exactly designed with a hardcore BMW enthusiast like me in mind. Still though, it is definitely an interesting car, and I could understand somebody for wanting to buy one of these things because it is quite ridiculous, but in a hilarious, enjoyable way. So yeah, that's gonna do it for me, everybody, on this video. I hope everybody enjoyed watching, and I hope everybody has a great day. Bye-bye.